Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Dina Palmer. I am the Member Relations Specialist here at Oki 811, and we have Eva Donahue with us. She is going to be moderating the webinar today. She is our Member Services Liaison, and today we are going to be discussing ticket concerns. But before we get into the ticket concerns, let's go over a few housekeeping items. So if you have any questions, you can use the Q&A feature or the chat feature. Those should be available on Teams desktop, mobile, and the web. Be sure to get those questions submitted. We will be answering those at the end of the webinar. If any of your questions pertain directly to your membership or they're not really ticket concern questions, we will reach out to you after the webinar to answer those questions. We would also love your feedback today. So if you want to grab your phone and follow this QR code to our webinar feedback form, we would really appreciate that. If more than 50% of the attendees today provide feedback, you'll be entered into a drawing for a $25 Amazon gift card. If you don't win, you can have another chance during all our live webinars for the rest of the year. If for any reason you can't follow the QR code, we will provide a link in the chat as well. We're also going to show this code at the end of the webinar and send that link again after we answer questions. So be looking for that then. So to get started, I'm sure that you have all experienced some issues with tickets before. These ticket concerns could be anything from bad information that was given on the ticket to excessive updates or being included on additional repeat notices. Today, we're going to cover these scenarios and explain what you can do in these situations. If you have questions or a situation that we don't cover and you'd like more information on that, again, please use that chat feature and put that in there and we'll cover that at the end of the webinar. Okay, so to get started, one of the questions we get asked frequently is, why didn't I receive an emergency call for an emergency ticket? Most members have the automated calls that call you when there's an emergency ticket. And one of the biggest reasons you won't receive a call is if the excavator gave more than a 24-hour notice on that ticket. So say they're not digging for 36 hours, you're not going to receive a call for that. You'll just receive that in your email. We only make those automated calls for tickets that have a dig time of 24 hours or less. If you have automated call set up and you have people in a list, if the person before you that it called before you receives that call and they confirm the call, that call will no longer roll to you. That will stop the calls. You will only receive that call if they don't confirm that call. Another big one is self-service in rural areas. A lot of our member companies are in rural areas and even in the cities. Self-service can sometimes be spotty. So sometimes if those calls don't come through, it could be something like self-service. If you don't have our number saved as a contact, it could be that your carrier is blocking that 800 number as spam. So those are just some things that you can look into. And of course, if you have questions and want us to help you troubleshoot that, you can always contact member services and we'll help out with that. Okay. And another concern that comes up is not receiving your locate requests. This can happen for a variety of reasons. The first thing you want to do if you notice that you're not receiving those locate requests in your email is check your spam or your junk folder. Make sure that those locate requests are not being directed there. If they are, please be sure to add us to your safe senders list. If for some reason your email is down, or say you accidentally deleted an email, you can always use the portal and our queue feature to resend the ticket. If you have questions about how to add us to a safe senders list or how to use that queue, we do have information online on the website at oki811.org. You'll just want to go to the Learning Hub, and we have tons of information there on how to use all the different features in the portal, including that queue and information about adding to our safe senders list. And again, you can always call us or send us an email, and we can help you figure that out as well. Next, let's talk about second notices. So we get a lot of questions about, why is my company receiving a second notice? If you do not provide positive response, excavators won't know if they can dig or not, and you will be included on those second notices. If you do positively respond and you're still receiving a second notice, it could be because the wrong positive response code was used. For example, if you selected clear, but there are lines in the area, or if that would make the positive response very confusing. So if you select clear and you have markings on the ground, the excavator is going to be really confused about what's going on with that positive response, and you're going to receive those second notices. We see that happen frequently when companies have sold assets, but they haven't removed those from their service areas. It's really important if you sell or abandon facilities that you update your service areas to avoid these situations. And just a quick reminder that those second and third notices are incurring additional premium service fees now. So, really paying attention to that and limiting the amount that you receive can have a huge impact on your annual invoice. Another situation that we see a lot is companies not being included on a locate request. If this happens, it is highly likely that your company has acquired assets, but they have not been added to your service areas. So you want to make sure that you go into the SAE and you review your service areas frequently to make sure that any assets that you've sold or anything that's been updated has also been updated in the service area editor. It's also possible that a ticket review is needed if you're not on a locate request. It could be that the polygon on the ticket might be marked incorrectly, so I didn't pull the correct companies, or it could be something with the directions or the locate instructions. So if this situation occurs, you can submit a ticket concern form. We are going to cover more about the ticket concern form a little bit later on. You can also reach out to the excavator to clarify that ticket information, and you can contact OK 811 and ask to be manually added to a ticket if you're in the process of updating those service areas and you need to be included. So, speaking of companies being manually added to a ticket, we do have situations arise where a company is manually added and they aren't sure why they were manually added to a locate request. So, the excavator can request companies be manually added if they believe a company has lines in the area. Again, it is possible in these situations that it's just a service area needs to be updated. Maybe you acquired assets and you just haven't added that to your service areas. Um, and that's just simple as going into that service area editor and getting that taken care of. It could also be that if you sold assets, maybe you had old signage in the area that hasn't been removed. So people are still under the assumption that you have lines in that area. So if you notice that you're being added manually to locate requests, it might be a good idea to take a look at that area and see if there's any types of old signage. We also have seen the situation where a company can have aerial lines in the area. But excavators are confused and they don't understand that having aerial lines doesn't necessarily mean that a company also has underground lines. So that might just be a situation where you have to contact that excavator and explain. Okay, so next, we do receive lots of questions about excessive updates. Um, Before we talk about what to do if you're receiving excessive updates, it's really important to understand, are the updates actually excessive? So, to help determine if an update is excessive, it's really helpful to take a look at the type of work and the extent of time on the locate request. For example, if a company says that the work type that they're doing is road construction, and they say that they plan to have that work completed by September 6th of 2024, but here comes March of 2025 and they're still updating that ticket, you would definitely want to reach out to that excavator and confirm, is this work still ongoing? Or is this just maybe somebody in the office forgot to stop updating the ticket? So that's definitely the work type, and that extent time can be a big red flag to, is this excessive or not? But however, if that work type is something like new construction and they have the extent of time listed for 6 months, you should expect to see updates for that ticket for at least 6 months. If you do determine or feel like it is an excessive update, the first step we recommend is to contact that excavator directly. We do see that issue where somebody in the office is the one updating the tickets. They don't know that the job is ended, and sometimes a simple conversation can be enough to solve that issue. However, we know that that is not always the case. And if you have tried reaching out to the excavator and you have gone to that site and it appears no work is ongoing, then you should be familiar with your rights under the law to know how you can proceed. So it is within your rights as a member to bill the excavator per the Oklahoma Underground Damage Prevention Act. You can find all of that information on our website at okie811.org at the link shown. It does state in the law that if excessive and unreasonable requests for marking are made by an excavator when no excavation is taking place within 14 calendar days, the excavator may be liable to the owner or operator for the reasonable cost of such marking. So that just lets you, if you know that they're out there, there's no work ongoing and they're still submitting those updates and you've kind of exhausted other avenues, that gives you the ability to be able to bill them for your time and your resources that you've used trying to locate that area. Okay, so our next ticket concern that you might encounter is receiving a locate request that you do not believe is an emergency. So first, let's talk about what constitutes an emergency locate request. Emergencies are unavoidable situations that endanger life, health, or property. Some examples of endangerment to life are utility lines being down and needing to be repaired quickly. Telecom being down can be an endangerment as well if people cannot access alarm systems, health monitoring systems, or even the ability to call 911. So many things are connected via telecom now. And there are so many reasons why a situation could be an endangerment to life, health, or property. Even something as simple as a broken fence may not seem like it would be an endangerment to life, health, or property, but if that fence surrounded a playground to a daycare, that could definitely present an endangerment to the life of the children. Um, just so you guys know, when callers call in and they ask for an endangerment, they are asked to justify why that situation may be an endangerment to life, health, or property. We do ask the caller how much time they can give before work begins. And this is in an effort to help members. Help give the members as much time as possible to respond to these requests. So if if you receive this emergency ticket, the reason that they give still doesn't seem like it might be an emergency, the next step you want to do is go ahead and contact that excavator again and kind of try to have that conversation to see what's going on. And then again, you want to know the law because just like with excessive updates, with fraudulent emergencies, you can bill them for your time and your resources going out there to locate those if your company deems that to be a fraudulent emergency. The next issue that we see sometimes is what should you do if you receive a locate request that needs a correction? Of course, you want to reach out to the excavator to let them know if you can get a hold of them. But really, the most important thing here is the positive response that you're going to provide on a ticket that needs a correction. So if a correction is needed, you're going to want to choose that correction required positive response. And you want to make sure your comment is detailing what correction is needed. So is the address incorrect or are the locate instructions not matching? Be sure to put that in your notes. And then please be aware that correction required is not used. For example, if your company sold assets and you no longer have lines in the area, we have seen companies use correction required. That's a correction that is required on your end to your service area mapping. Correction required should only be used when there is incorrect information such as driving directions, locate instructions, or an incorrect address on a ticket. When the correction required code is used, an email is sent out to the excavator and to our quality assurance department. This is what is sent to the excavator when that correction required is added to the locate request. This is to notify them and our QA department so they can try and get that ticket corrected as quickly as possible. So if our QA department notices that your company is using correction required and it's not the valid response, member services will reach out to you to try to educate you about the appropriate positive response code to use. So when excavators receive that email that says, and you've added that positive response that correction is needed, it's going to tell them that there's a danger and an urgent ticket correction is required. They need to call Oki 811 immediately to correct the information for that locate request, and that one or more of the operators have stated a need for additional or corrected information in order to complete your locate request. And again, I just want to let you know how important it is when you use this to be sure to use those comments to explain what correction is needed. Sometimes because we are in the office and we're not out in the field like your locators, it's hard to understand what correction can be needed if we're not seeing it out in the field like you guys are. So having that firsthand information of what correction is needed and why it's needed can be very beneficial and helpful for our QA department to get those corrections taken care of quickly. Okay, and before we go over this ticket concerns form, if you have any questions and you have not submitted them yet, feel free to do so. We're going to be answering our questions next. If there is anything we haven't covered, or if you aren't sure how to handle a ticket concern you come across, you can always use our ticket concern form. The ticket concern form can be found on our website at oki811.org. You're going to select the facility operators and then select the ticket concern form. This is going to take you directly to that form. This is a quick and easy form to submit. You're just going to select that you're a facility operator. You're going to want to enter your contact information and the ticket number. That is very important to make sure you have that ticket number. You're going to want to select the issue, and it gives you different options. You know, is it an incorrect polygon? Is the base map incorrect? Does it have bad contact information? And then you're also going to want to add a message or notes. That way we have a little bit more detail about what the issue is. And then you can also select if you want someone to contact you back once the issue has been resolved, if you'd like an update on that situation. So this ticket concern form really can encompass any issue that you're having. Again, we want you to be sure that if you're having issues, you're putting that in your positive response and making sure the comments back that up. But as a second step, you can also submit a ticket concern form in those situations. That way you have that backup and you're letting the contact center know what's happening with those requests. Okay, now let's see if we have any questions. Eva, do we have any questions today?
No, Dina, we haven't received any questions.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Again, I just want to remind you about our webinar feedback form. It is just a short survey. We would love to get your feedback on how we did, what we can improve, even what topics you would like to see us cover. That would be really helpful for our future webinars going forward to get that feedback from you guys. And as always, if you think of any questions or have any suggestions for future webinar topics, feel free to contact our Education and Outreach Department at education@oki811.org. If you want to register for future webinars or watch a recorded webinar, you can go to oki811.org/education events. We have a playlist of just member webinars on our YouTube channel. It's just a wealth of information in those webinars. So please be sure to check those out. If you have any questions regarding your membership, please feel free to contact us at memberservices@oki811.org. We really appreciate you joining us today and taking the time to learn a little bit more about the ticket concerns. We hope you have a wonderful afternoon and thank you for your time.